Hello and welcome to a quick video on some basic cross-site scripting attacks. So essentially a cross-site scripting attack occurs when malicious JavaScript input is injected into, for example, a search field or a comment box. That malicious JavaScript can then be used to steal users' cookies and then therefore hijack sessions. So it can be a pretty critical vulnerability to find inside web applications. For the purposes of the demo today, I'm using Portswigger's Web Security Academy, and this lab we're taking a look at reflected cross-site scripting. So there's three different types of cross-site scripting attacks predominantly. So those are stored cross-site scripting, which can be found in things like comment sections, where comments can be injected or comments can be stored in the application, and then when the browser renders it, it's stored in the page. It can be in reflected cross-site scripting, so in the lab here we can see the attack occurs when the page renders the search field back, and there's also DOM-based XSS, which is a bit more complex, and we won't really go into that in any detail today. So what we'll do is we'll just quickly take a look at reflected at the moment. So we've got a blog here that has a search functionality in it, and what we can do is we can just search for hello, okay, and the application returns with 0 search results for hello. So we can see that whatever we're searching for in here is returned by the application in this field here. So that goes for true for anything. So if we go hello test, then we can see it comes back with hello text. So we can manipulate that. So if we see this in a web application, we can look and say, well, the web application is handling user input and returning it straight back to the user within the HTML of that page. So the question then becomes, can we hijack that? Can we do anything malicious with that? So what we can have a look at now is, if we then inspect the page and we can have a look, and we've got the page source down here, and if we click here and then we can inspect different elements of the page, right? So if we can have a look here and we can see down here it says 0 search results for hello test, and this is held within h1 tags within this section of the HTML. What that means is that if we can then inject our own HTML, which, so for JavaScript, is held within script tags, so we can put any JavaScript in here. So let's just, for the purposes of this, just say alert1 and then script, right? So what we're doing here is we're saying, right, okay, so we've got this piece of user input that's been reflected, and we're now trying to hijack that piece of the HTML by putting our own HTML in, right? So if we then go search, we get an alert box which pops the 1. We say okay, and we get the lab solved. So what we can have a look at here, we have a look at how this is executed. So if we have a look, we can see 0 search results for, and then it's got the opening of the parentheses, and then it's got our HTML. And you can see that in the dev tools, it's properly rendered it. You can see that the script tags are blue with the alert JavaScript in the center is white. So what's happening is the browser is rendering this, and it's parsing it and going, right, okay, there's a script tag in here, and we're going to execute that in the context of the HTML, which executes the JavaScript and says alert1. We can do more malicious things, like I said, and we can say, right, well, we can say document.cookie. So this is a function within JavaScript which pulls the user's cookie out and then pops it into the alert box. Now, because we're not authenticated, it doesn't return a session cookie. But if this was vulnerable, if the web application was vulnerable to this and you were authenticated, you might get something like JSessionID equals with your session cookie. And if this was stored cross-site scripting, if it's stored cross-site scripting, what you can do is you can then leave the malicious code within the comment field. When a user visits the page with the comments on it, it executes and then steals the cookie. And similarly, if we were to send this URL here, which has the script tag within the URL because the search function is held within the URL, then we could use this to attack a user as well. So that essentially is a really high level breakdown of how cross-site scripting attacks work, how they can be leveraged, and really just what they are. Thank you.